Hi, good afternoon to you. Thanks for clicking on to today's edition of the Long Range Discussion. Hope you're having a good Thursday wherever you are. The sun is shining here, almost unbroken in fact, and temperatures are reacting with the stronger area of high pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere, supporting sinking air and warming at the surface. Temperatures 18 Celsius in Glasgow, some 19 Celsius at the least in Tyndrum in Perthshire, while further south, folks, where we're seeing those lower heights associated with that stubborn area of low pressure that you seen a few days ago, sitting off to the southwest, down towards the Azores, your lower heights are supporting those bands of rain pushing up in through southern parts of England, Wales as well. And unfortunately, the unsettled weather will continue. We're going to be seeing more cloudy conditions persist during the overnight hours tonight. While further north, we're actually seeing a change. We've got an area of troughiness filling with cold air out of the Arctic through Scandinavia, and that will work its way southwards through the British Isles over the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, a few folks have asked about the rainy conditions across parts of the British Isles. Some 3 times the normal amount of rainfall in parts of England for the month of April. Of course, it was the wettest April on record. Now, in stark contrast to what was the 5th driest March on record, it was the 3rd warmest. In fact, up here in Scotland, it was the warmest March on record. So you say to yourself, Mark, what's taking place here? I mean, it sounds like I'm talking to myself, doesn't it? You say to yourself, what's going on here? We've got such a dramatic flip between March and April. I've spent a bit of time thinking about this overall pattern. Now, we've seen a predominantly positive, what is known as the North Atlantic Oscillation during the winter season. And that produced a very, very mild, if not warm winter, both here across the British Isles and as well as that across the majority of the United States. Now, what we've seen a cold pocket of air settle over the North Atlantic and Greenland, while we've seen bubbles of high pressure over both the eastern part of North America and the western part of Europe. Now, with the dramatic change within, a 4-week period here across the British Isles, and as well as that, we've seen tremendous warmth, all-time record warmth for the United States in the month of March, and as well as that, we've seen, of course, 3 straight days breaking all-time March records here across Scotland. Now, we've seen that dramatic flip in April. You say to yourself, what's going on here? What's the driver behind that? Now, I believe there's a potential here, this is just a personal theory, that we could have a 25, or should I say, a 30 to 40 day cycle within the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation. That being that we've got an area of high pressure that dominated the North Atlantic and Greenland during the month of April. That produced troughiness, storms basically rotated around the base of that trough. So the southern half of the UK, the areas that were in drought, saw those rains, and in fact we've seen dramatic flood conditions across southern parts of the British Isles, and as well as that we've seen drought conditions up and down the eastern seaboard of the United States. That, of course, has seen a dent, a significant dent, with the rainy conditions across the eastern part of the United States, indicative of the North Atlantic Oscillation being positive, with the colder pocket, or the warmer pocket, should I say, over the North Atlantic. So if there's a 25 to 30 day cycle, seeing what we've seen so far over the past couple of months, you say to yourself, is there a change on the way? Is there going to be a return to a positive North Atlantic Oscillation as opposed to a negative? A negative, of course, produces cooler, wetter conditions both over North America and western parts of Europe. My theory is that during the midpoint of May onwards, we could see a change in the pattern. Could we be looking at warmer conditions back over western parts of Europe? Now, the ECMWF model is showing by the latter part of next week and into next weekend a return to very warm conditions. In fact, we could be looking at incredible heat developing off the Sahel region of Africa, working up through the Sahara Desert. So Algeria, Morocco, you're going to be talking about 110 Fahrenheit temperatures That is going to then expand northwards up through Iberia, could extend into southern France. And the big question I'm asking now is, by next weekend, could we be looking at high pressure building northwards up into the UK? That's the big question. Could it fit my theory of a 30 to 40 day cycle in either the NAO or the ridge trough cycle? Remember, the mean trough has been bang slap over the UK. We haven't even seen a temperature of 20 Celsius here in the UK during the entire month of April. So there's a lot of things to speculate. There's a lot of interesting factors at play here. My theory is that we need to, of course, allow for variables as the season progresses into the summer months. We've, of course, talking about Indian monsoon. We've also got the incredible heat that starts to build over the desert region of the world. That reacts differently to the troughs and ridges further north, up here in the mid-latitudes. But certainly what I think is going to take place for the United States is we could be seeing major heat by the latter part. So say from about the 20th of May onwards, the distribution between ridges and troughs are slightly delayed. You can't say it's going to be hot here, so therefore it's going to be hot across the eastern part of North America. There is variability in the overall pattern. But my theory is that we're going to see a mid to latter part of May warmer and drier, more settled conditions, extending from Spain, where it could be very hot next week, 100-degree heat widely. That could extend from about, say, the 15th of May onwards, further north, while we'll see more troughiness, more unsettled, cooler conditions across eastern parts of North America. So there's a lot of things to play for. The North America pattern could be changing. We've got a trough into next week after the warmth of the upcoming days. A trough is going to then establish itself. My wife's starting to give me